we invited Daniel. We've been in contact with Daniel for many, many, many years. Daniel is involved with eScriptorium. Maybe he can tell us a bit about it. And he is currently running a huge European project on Hebrew using OCR, HDR as well. And there was in Princeton a digital humanities workshop where Daniel was basically invited to come at the end and to give us feedback. And that's where the idea came to invite him again here to come and give us feedback, maybe some ideas where we should be heading, how we should be heading. Maybe we're doing some things wrongly. Daniel, pontificate, please.
Thank you so much, George, and thank you so much to all the others who spoke before me. It's a great honor to be here, and it's really a pleasure to see all you have built as a community, but especially with your heart and head and power behind it. Syriac is really a model where to go, I would say. I do not have a PowerPoint because I consider myself a bit as a respondent, so hard to prepare a PowerPoint as a respondent. But I think you have accumulated a huge amount of texts already. And I think you can use those texts to gather even more texts, perhaps in a slightly different way than you expected, which is not necessarily first going to more texts, but first improving what you already have. So the basic principle in machine learning is the old good principle of garbage in, garbage out. And there are a lot of low quality black and white scans. And if you, thanks to your connections to the Institute of Advanced Studies, can get to better scans, either grayscale or color photos of these prints in high resolution, then you could get probably too much better transcriptions for those texts that you showed us in the beginning, where there were really a lot of OCR mistakes that should not necessarily happen if the computer sees more than just black or white, which is very hard. I mean, we all know when we encounter some other person, it's very hard to tell he's good or he's evil. Usually we are somewhere in the middle, and it's the same for pixels. That is one thing. So for those texts for which the OCR is not very good, to go back and not shy away from redoing them. Then I think, and we should mention here the great bridge that we have with a big project on Arabic script, OpenITI, at Maryland University and Northeastern, and with close connections to the ERC Kitab project at Aga Khan University, which work on all kinds of documents in Arabic script, also with Kraken eScriptorium, and this collaboration has been very fruitful. And one of the main persons there on the computer science side is David Smith, and he has developed a very nice method of self-supervised corpus construction. And I think for the work that we saw presented by Eva, this could be extremely valuable, but also for things going back to previous texts. A basic version of that is already in Escriture. Maybe I can show it quickly. So here it's in Hebrew, but it doesn't matter. So you have this align functionality on the right side. And what you can do is you can, well, I have here an early edition of a rabbinic text, the Mechilta, printed in Constantinople. And I had another early edition, also in a very bad black and white scan. But I had another edition of the same text from 1545 from Venice. And I know they are very similar. And what you can do is you can do a very rough OCR with some model that is not at all adapted to this. So for manuscripts where the models are still kind of error prone, this is very useful. If you have a ground truth, meaning a transcription of that manuscript in some edition, which you already OCR. So what you can do, you do a rough transcription with some model that is not good. I mean, if you look here, there are plenty of mistakes in here. And then you can align it and choose this transcription level and take the text that you already have and it will some parameters to solve. Basically, it allows you for manuscripts, I mean, with 16 million words, the only thing you would have to do is make a list of the manuscripts behind the main editions that you have already OCR'd. Go back to those manuscripts and align the editions to a rough transcription of those manuscripts. And without a lot of human intervention, you will be able to gather a lot of ground truth that will enable you to train very good models to transcribe other manuscripts which have not yet been transcribed or never have been edited or have been edited badly in some way. So it's still working a bit, but it's very fast. You can do 100 pages in a couple of minutes with this, and maybe somebody is working on this. Maybe we will get the message in a second. So if I go here to here, the alignment has been done. So we should now have a for George level. So here, it selected all the lines where the other edition is close enough to the rough transcription here. And you can already train a model on this that is much more adapted to this script, whether it's a different font or whether it's a different manuscript. I hope this gives you a rough idea about what is possible. And the new method that will be presented in December by David Smith in Paris at the conference for conference CRH. I've forgotten the complete resolution of the abbreviation for computation in the humanities. There you can have a whole corpus, and it does it automatically. And this is open source, so Slavo can easily adapt it and launch a corpus through it. The second thing, I think, that you could very easily do, and which would be very interesting for maybe an unexpected field, that is book history. You could actually use classifiers in order to understand the history of Syriac printing, of different types of layout, of different types of fonts used, and whether it's the modern editions, whether it's a little older, and then have models automatically selected that would be adapted to the very object that you would like to transcribe, but in the same time, give you information about the history of the Syriac book. And if you do this in a clever way, then you can first select, if you already know enough about the subject, then you can first select, I don't know, 50 books or 100 books of the main groups that you are already aware of. That the editions in Paris used a different font than the editions in Berlin, and the editions in the UK, a different one from the editions in the Vatican. So for the modern editions, this should be straightforward. Obviously, the same is true for the historical scripts as well. And the other point that I was thinking of, the stuff that Slavo is doing can help to create a language model that can be integrated. And Kraken is only transcribing text automatically based on visual information. It almost has no linguistic information. The only linguistic information that it uses is character sequences. So obviously a final cuff is always at the end, that it will learn, but it has no clue about parts of speech and prepositions and this kind of thing. But actually Kraken allows you to integrate a simple language model. And with that, you could get to better results even more. And then obviously there are post-OCR possibilities afterwards. With 16 million words, it's already a corpus that could allow you perhaps to train not a very large language model, but a medium one. And we have lots of modern editions. Maybe this is streaming, but one thing you could do is obviously vocalize texts. Another thing you can, I think, achieve in the not too far future is translating texts. Because the models have become so good that you can apply transfer learning for the relatively small Syriac corpus from the very big English or Chinese corpora, where the computer can adapt the existing models to the corpus that is much smaller that you would like to work on. Then, I mean, I think that Slavo already thinks of these directions, stylometrics, in order to verify authorship, in order to do historical linguistics, and for dating texts, for provenancing texts. Maybe finally we'll get more information about slight differences of Syriac between the different countries it was used in. And then we will be very happy in our large project to collaborate with you. One of our most important things is intertextuality. So finding citations, not only biblical citations, but citations of any text and any other texts. And there are already some algorithms out there. Some have been published by Avi Schmiedmann and his team of Dicta, which also has a very good lemmatizer, which you can check online for Hebrew, but the same type of mechanics behind it should also be able to work on Syriac. So if I type here just quickly some nice Hebrew text, Rabbi Akiva, Amar le Rabbi Yishmael, Encha Kol Behach Shiram, then you can actually vocalize this quite well. And if there is an API behind it where you can get all the morphological analysis that you need and that you are planning, maybe how they are doing is also a nice loophole for you, Slavo, because they have done some decisions that may make the way for you easier, whether yes or no to adopt them. But just to show them, because obviously they were in front of exactly the same problems, how to tokenize words, how to deal with the prepositions and the suffixes, how to deal with things like the Dalet, etc. These are some of the suggestions. You are sitting on a treasure chest, and Simtho has its name, rightly so. I think it would be very good idea to take a day or so and to think, very welcome to do this together, how to leverage this treasure chest in order to, with the least human effort, get to the nicest results in the quickest way. And you have a very good team, both from the philological side and both from the engineering and computer science side already assembled. And we will be very happy. I'm sure the Arabist team of OpenITI and our Hebraist team, but we will also work on Arabic sources and Aramaic. So it's very close, so that the Syriac riches can become even more richer.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for all these useful comments. I would like to mention to our audience also that there are two young men from the Syriac and Syrian communities. I don't know if they are with us here or not. Chris Mrani and Matthew Nazari. Matthew is at Harvard. These are whiz kids, in computer science, but they know so much about AI. So they take some data and they play with it. We are hoping to have, as you suggested, Daniel, a vocalizer, and also a text to speech kind of a product as well, where we would have a recording of a text and then train it on some other text, so it can read text for you. So all these young people in AI are do exciting work, and we hope all of this will come together. And thank you for your offer, of course, to collaborate with your team.
We hope you enjoyed the Simtho tutorials. Our Meltho Lab team in the Middle East continues manually correcting OCR'd text to give you access to more accurate texts. The Meltho Lab operation is entirely supported by donations, and it provides young men and women in the Middle East with much needed employment during a time of local crisis. Our project also promotes pride in their heritage as workers contribute to promoting their own culture.